Pay close attention, because this might be the explanation you've been searching for your entire life. You're not lazy, you're just lost, and there's a brutal difference between the two. One keeps you stuck, and the other can set you free. Laziness is passive, yes, but being lost, it's suffocating. It's like being in a maze where every exit feels like a mistake, where every attempt seems to push you further away from the light. And you know what the worst part is? The world labels you before it even tries to understand you. They called you lazy, unmotivated, useless. They looked at you as if you had no ambition. But no one saw the hole inside you. No one heard the silent scream from your soul. Help me. I just don't know where to start. You wake up feeling a weight on your chest. That's not laziness. That's anxiety. It's the pain of someone who wants to move, but doesn't see meaning. Someone who wants to act, but sees no direction. Someone who wants to win, but doesn't even know where the battle is. Being spiritually lost is like walking blindfolded through a minefield. You feel like you're wasting your life, but you can't seem to find the way out. And here's what's even worse. You start to believe what they say about you. You start wearing labels that were never yours. I'm a failure. I have no willpower. I'll never make it. Maybe I am just a mistake. But let me tell you something no one else ever told you. That's not the truth. You're not a failure. You're not lazy. You are chosen. And the chosen ones, they often get lost before they awaken. Because their path is different. The road is narrower. The battles are quieter. And the spiritual weight they carry is far from ordinary. Have you noticed that the more you try to fit into this world, the more out of place you feel? Have you seen how the things that excite others leave you empty? How the things that dazzle others feel meaningless to you? That's not a flaw. That's a sign. A sign that your soul wasn't made for small things. A sign that your spirit is craving something higher. You're lost because you're following maps that weren't made for you. They taught you to chase money, fame, status, the perfect body. But they never taught you to chase purpose, clarity, mission, divine presence. You were sabotaged from early on. They created a world where your value is measured by performance, where if you don't produce, you're worthless. But your essence is not productivity. Your essence is presence, connection, purpose. That emptiness you feel is your soul thirsting for something this world doesn't offer. And until you reconnect with your spiritual mission, you'll keep dragging yourself through life with wings that feel broken. But listen closely. Wings don't break. Wings fold. And all you need is to remember how to fly. You don't need more motivation. You need direction. You don't need more pressure. You need revelation. You don't need to be pushed. You need someone to look you in the eyes and say, I get it. I know what it feels like to be this way. But you won't stay there forever. Because today, something is shifting. Today, this message is finding you. And that alone is a sign that the cycle is changing. You are not here by chance. You were guided to these words. And these words are your compass. You are lost, but you're about to be found. You'll remember what used to make your soul burn. You'll reconnect with dreams that were buried. You'll feel again that fire in your spirit. But first, you need to let go of the guilt. Yes, the guilt of not being like everyone else. The guilt of not being able to function like they do. Chosen one, listen. You weren't made to function. You were made to transform. And to transform, you must be different. And to be different, You must walk through the valley of loneliness, exhaustion, and doubt. Every great purpose is born out of the pain of being lost, because only those who are truly lost have the courage to truly seek themselves. And when you search for yourself with honesty, you'll discover a power inside you that no one ever told you existed. You are a temple. You are a channel. You are a bridge between two worlds. That's why it felt so heavy. That's why you were paralyzed for so long. Because your calling is greater than you can imagine. But now you know. You're not lazy. You're a soul searching for direction. And today, that direction has begun to reveal itself. Now that you're starting to understand, let me ask you something that maybe no one has ever dared to ask. Who put out your fire? Yes, because you once had a spark in your eyes. You once had passion for something. You had plans, ideas, desires, but someone or something put that fire out. And it wasn't by accident. Life didn't extinguish your flame for no reason. It was voices, it was looks, it was rejection. It was those cursed words spoken to you right when you needed encouragement the most. That's not for you. You'll never make it. You weren't born for that. You're just lazy. Those words pierced your mind like needles, and they stayed there. They built an invisible prison, and you started walking within the limits others placed on you. But now you're beginning to realize the cell was always open, and what kept you trapped wasn't a chain. It was a lie. Yes, a lie. Because everything you believed about yourself, that you're weak, untalented, unworthy, it was just programming. You were programmed for fear, programmed for failure, programmed to see yourself as small. But now you have the power to reprogram yourself. And reprogramming starts with a choice. Will you keep being what others convinced you to believe? Or will you become who God truly created you to be? Chosen one, you have gifts you haven't even discovered yet. You have talents that have been asleep under the weight of pain. You carry a mission that screams inside you every time the world feels boring. That boredom you feel with the ordinary life. It's not laziness. It's your spirit saying, "This isn't enough. I was born for more." You've felt it, haven't you? That restlessness, that inner discomfort, that urge to do something big, even if you don't know what or how. That's the calling. And the calling always comes before clarity. God calls you first. And only after does he start revealing the path. That's why you felt lost for so long, because heaven had already released the calling. But you weren't ready to hear it until now. Now something inside you is awakening. You've started to remember that you have a mission, that there's something only you can do, that your name is written in spiritual tasks the world hasn't even seen yet. And that's why you were attacked so heavily. Darkness saw your potential before you even knew who you were. So it tried to paralyze you with addictions, with distractions, with toxic relationships, with self-sabotaging thoughts. It tried to turn you against yourself. And the worst part, it almost succeeded. But it didn't, because you're still here. You still have breath. You still feel. You're still hearing this voice. The voice pulling you back home. The voice whispering, "Get up." There's still time. And there is time. Because God never gives up on who he has chosen. And if you were set apart since the womb, then nothing, absolutely nothing, can cancel your destiny. But you have to do your part. You have to come out of spiritual numbness. You have to take the first step, even without full clarity, even with fear, even feeling weak. Because faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is movement in spite of fear. And let me tell you something that changes everything. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to align with your spirit. And how do you do that? By silencing the noise, turning off the voices of the world for a moment, and listening to the voice within. That voice you've been ignoring, the one that said, "Go this way." But you chose a different path. It's okay. You did fall, but every fall was allowed to teach you something. You didn't waste time. You were being prepared. And now every pain you've carried will become a weapon. Every tear will become wisdom. Every no you received will become the fuel for your final yes. You're not late. You're ready. And with this spiritual maturity, you'll finally break through everything that was holding you back. Chosen one, listen carefully. You're standing at a point of no return. Either you fully awaken now, or you'll spend another season in darkness, wondering why nothing moves forward. But now you know why. Because the universe doesn't respond to those who live on autopilot. It responds to those who vibrate presence, who align energy with truth, who honor their own spirit. You need to start acting like someone with a calling. Get out of bed like someone who's been anointed. Take care of your home like it's about to receive angels. Choose your words like someone who carries divine frequency, because you do carry it. You had just forgotten. But now, you're remembering. You're not lazy. You were disoriented by a world that never wanted to see you awake. But now you've awakened. And when a chosen one awakens, nothing and no one can stop what God has started. Now that you've started remembering who you are, it's time to go deeper. Because awakening is not some magical event that happens on the outside. Awakening is an inner realignment. It's when the spirit takes the reins of the mind, and the mind finally bows to the truth. And the truth, chosen one, is that you were never weak. You were conditioned to think small, to act in fear, to hide, to ask for permission to be who you were born to be. But that ends now. You don't need to ask permission to exist anymore. You don't have to wait for validation from anyone. You no longer need to try to fit into molds that were never yours to begin with. Because you came to break molds. You came to open paths. You came to remind the world what light looks like in the middle of darkness. But understand this, it requires positioning. The spiritual realm doesn't respond to those who live on the fence. Either you align with your mission, or you become a magnet for distractions. And distractions are deceptive. They don't show up as monsters. They show up as comfort, as well-deserved rest, as little pleasures that delay big purposes. And before you know it, you're back in that place again, tired, lost, empty. The day passed, the week flew by, the month is over, and you haven't moved forward. Why? Because you're still trying to fill a soul-sized hole with dopamine, with social media, with binge-watching, with food, with instant pleasure. But the soul is never filled with distraction. The soul is filled with purpose. And if you don't live for your purpose, you'll end up living to fulfill the purpose of others. And you'll always feel disconnected, without knowing why. That's why you feel that emptiness, even after a productive day. Because productivity without purpose is just restlessness. You are here for more. You are here to build something eternal. something that will echo beyond your life. And that something begins within. It starts with spiritual discipline, with vibrational alignment, with inner silence, so you can finally hear what really matters. You don't need to start big. You just need to start authentically, with a yes, with a step, with a decision. Because when the Spirit sees you've risen, it starts to guide you. Doors open, people arrive, ideas flow. Strength is born where only exhaustion once lived. And what you thought was laziness was really a soul starving for meaning. Do you understand now? You weren't weak. You were spiritually malnourished. But now you're going to feed yourself properly. Not with distractions, not with comparisons, not with empty content. You're going to nourish yourself with the Word, with the presence, with silence, with everything that expands your consciousness and strengthens your soul, because you are in reconstruction, and reconstruction requires consistency, not shallow emotion, not surface motivation, but commitment to who you are becoming. And do you know what will sustain you through that process? Vision. The vision of what you came here to do. The impact your presence can make. The legacy that only you can leave. Have you ever stopped to think about that? That maybe what you call procrastination is actually the pain of not living what you were born to live. You sabotage yourself because deep down, you know you're wasting something sacred. And the soul cries out. It gets sick. It implodes into anxiety. It begs, use me, express me, fulfill me. That's why you're hearing this now. Because it's time to stop running, stop delaying, stop pretending you don't know what needs to be done. You do know. You know what needs to be cut. You know what needs to change. You know exactly what's blocking your energy. So, why haven't you done it yet? Maybe it's because you're still carrying the wrong identity. You still see yourself as the person who fell, who failed, who got it wrong. But that version of you is already dead. What's alive now is a new consciousness, a new frequency, a new identity. And you need to start walking like someone who's already been forgiven, like someone who's already been cleansed, like someone who's already been restored. Because if you keep treating yourself as someone who's lost, you'll keep acting like it. But if you start seeing yourself as a chosen one, your posture will change, your words will change, your routine will change, your life will change. And it all begins with how you speak about yourself. No more saying, I'm lazy. I can't do it. I'm not focused. Words are decrees, and decrees build realities. From this day forward, you're going to declare something different. I am in process. I'm realigning with my purpose. I am a temple under reconstruction. I am guided by the Spirit. I am strong enough to begin again. Because that's who you are. You are the restart heaven was waiting for. You are God's answer to a distracted generation. You are a living reminder that there is still light in this world. But your light must shine, not for ego, but for mission, because there are people who will only awaken after they see you rise. Now that your vision has begun to open, I need to remind you of something essential. Being chosen is not just a spiritual title, it's a daily responsibility. And here's the truth, almost no one tells you. You won't feel like being who you were born to be every day. But you need to act like it, even when you're tired, even when the world tells you it's not worth it, even when it seems like nothing is changing. Because true change starts invisibly. It first manifests in the spirit, then in the mind, then in the body, and only lastly, in the world around you. The problem is, most people quit halfway because they want to see fruit before they plant roots. But you, chosen one, are here to plant deep. You are here to build something eternal, not fleeting. That's why the secret now is consistency, not perfection. Consistency. You don't need to wake up motivated every day. You need to wake up committed. Committed to your mission, to your process, to your rebirth. And that begins with small acts of spiritual authority. That urge to crawl back into bed and escape the world. Turn it into a prayer. That sudden thought of giving up that sneaks in out of nowhere. Confront it with the truth of who you are. That unexplained discouragement. Use it as a sign that your soul is asking for movement. When the soul is lost, it tries to make you stop. But when you start guiding it back to the spirit, it remembers it was born to fly. And the flight of the chosen begins here, in the secret place. You need to become excellent in the invisible, faithful when no one is watching, intense in the small decisions, sacred in the tiniest choices, because that's what shapes you. That's what strengthens your spirit to carry the weight of the promise. Chosen one. The promise over your life is great, but it only manifests when you take your place as someone who carries a promise, and that comes at a cost. You'll have to let go of temporary pleasures. You'll have to silence outside noise. You'll have to detach from people who don't understand your path, because you're not on their level anymore. Not out of arrogance, but because of purpose. God lifted you up. The universe pushed you forward. Time itself shouted for you to wake up. And now, there's no turning back. You won't be able to live like before. You won't be able to pretend you don't feel it. You won't be able to ignore the calling anymore. Because something in you has already been activated. Something that sets you apart. Something that distinguishes you. It's the DNA of the chosen. And when that DNA awakens, you stop looking for motivation in others, because you realize your energy comes from above. You begin to protect your habits, to honor your time, to cultivate your mind, to care for your body as the temple it is. You create a spiritual routine. You fast, you meditate, you listen to the divine voice in silence. And with each passing day, you become stronger, clearer, more aligned. Your vibration changes, your gaze shifts, your presence starts making an impact without a single word. Because when the spirit leads, the body follows. Where there used to be confusion, now there's clarity. Where there was apathy, now there's passion. Where there was fear, now there's faith. But be warned, the enemy will try to strike you at this new level. He'll try to use spiritual distractions disguised as opportunities, relationships that seem like blessings, but are actually traps, offers that shine but drain your light. You need to stay vigilant. You need to develop discernment. You need to consult the Spirit before deciding anything, because your life is now sacred, and everything sacred demands reverence. You can no longer accept invitations to chaos. You can't open portals with careless words. You can't align with energies that sabotage your frequency. Chosen one, your frequency is too high to mix with just anything. You've already suffered too much trying to fit where you didn't belong. Now it's time to honor your elevation. And that means saying many no's. No to what distracts you. No to what sabotages you. No to what weakens you. And a powerful yes to what strengthens you. Yes to the sacred. Yes to the mission. Yes to the purpose. Yes to the discipline that transforms you. You'll start to see that the more aligned you are with your essence, the less tired you'll feel, because soul fatigue comes from disconnection, and connection restores. You'll begin to wake up with energy, to fall asleep in peace, to produce with flow, to walk with direction. And where there once was chaos, now there is order. Because your life is now being guided from above. But all of this begins with a decision, because this journey is not about feeling, it's about choosing. Choosing to live as the chosen one, even when you're tired, even when no one's watching, even when the world offers you shortcuts. You weren't sent here to live on shortcuts. You were sent to open trails, to leave a legacy, to be a bridge between heaven and earth. So lift your head, align your posture, embrace your identity. You're no longer lost. You have found yourself. You've remembered who you are. And from now on, your life begins to reflect that. Chosen one, now is the time to rise like never before. Because you are no longer the same. Anyone who has listened this far has already been marked, already been sealed, already been recognized by the spiritual realm as someone who has awakened. And once awakened, there's no going back to sleep. But understand this, awakening is not the end, it's the beginning. You've been activated, but now you must remain vigilant. Because the enemy knows he's lost you, but he will still try to distract you, confuse you, lull you back to sleep. Voices will rise trying to make you doubt. People will try to drag you back into old realities. Situations will show up that look like tests, but are traps. And this is where your strength will be tested. You must take a stand. God is waiting for a radical positioning on your part. The universe has already moved on your behalf. Now it's your turn to move. You are no longer a victim. You are no longer a slave to your mind. You are no longer a prisoner of guilt, doubt, or pain. You are free, and freedom comes with responsibility. You can no longer waste energy on what does not build you. You can't delay your promise to please people who don't understand your purpose. You can't ignore the signs just because you're afraid of the new. The new is waiting for you. And the new requires courage. Courage to cut the remaining cords. Courage to say goodbye to what no longer honors you. Courage to step out of the cycle and not look back. You are crossing a portal. And spiritual portals only open to those who are clean. They only remain open to those who are willing to hold the frequency. Now, it's between you and God, you and your consciousness, you and your spirit. What will you do with this chance? Will you pretend nothing happened? Or will you honor everything that was revealed here? Will you hide once again behind your old self? Or will you show up with power as someone who finally understood the calling? You were set apart, trained in silence, prepared through pain. Every tear you shed was a seed. Every silence you endured was a test. Every no you received was a protection. And now, the moment of total activation has arrived. You are being positioned. You are being elevated. You are being equipped to carry more light, more presence, more revelation. But beware, the more light, the more responsibility, the more spiritual power, the more discernment, the more clarity, the firmer your choices must become. You can no longer be led by emotions. You can no longer be guided by fleeting desires. You can no longer let your neediness scream louder than your spirit. Your body is a temple. Your soul is territory. Your life is an altar. And every altar demands sacrifice. Sacrifice your comfort zone. Sacrifice your need for approval. Sacrifice the urge for revenge. Sacrifice your old story. And in return, God will give you a new name. He will clothe you in glory. He will cover you with anointing. He will place you in positions you never imagined. But first, He must be sure that you're ready. And being ready means saying yes, even while trembling. Taking the step even without seeing the ground. Declaring, I accept the calling, even if everything around you says you don't have the strength. Because you do. You've already been strengthened, already been trained, already been equipped with everything you need to win. You just needed to remember. And now that you remember, heaven is rejoicing. Angels are being released to surround you. Doors are being unlocked at this very moment. Paths are being opened in the spiritual realm as you hear this message. But it's your responsibility to maintain this frequency. You must guard your thoughts, guard your emotions, guard the people you connect with. You are light, and light does not mix with darkness. Your presence heals. Your gaze sets people free. Your voice carries spiritual weight. Stop underestimating who you are. You carry the presence, and now it's time to act like someone who carries that presence. Speak less and pray more. Criticize less and declare more. Judge less and transform more. You were called to be a channel, an instrument, a voice in the wilderness, a light that breaks through the darkest corners of the soul. And it starts now. If you feel this message spoke directly to your spirit, comment 11 right now. That is the code the spiritual realm will recognize as your yes. It's not just a number, it's a sacred password, a seal that says you heard, you understood, and you accepted the calling. Like this video. So the algorithm will carry this word to other chosen ones who are on the edge, about to give up, begging for a sign. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. It could be the push that saves a soul from destruction. Subscribe to the channel now, because here, you don't walk alone. Here you are fed with words that cleanse, activate, and restore. Here you're reminded every day of the purpose you carry. Chosen one, this is not the end, it's a new beginning. And you're no longer lost, you're aligned, you're awake, you're ready. Now, live like someone who knows who they are.